From Key West, Florida to the Oregon coast and every state in between, every place has something great to offer. Welcome to Weekend Getaways in America. Our story begins today with Charles, Sven, and Mark as they embark on a journey to hike the Arizona Narrows. But before we can get there to do our hike, we have to get there first. And we're doing so today in Mark's super buggy. And Mark just happens to be sitting right here with me. Mark, tell us, how do you manage to get such a smooth ride over such rough terrain?
With my rear shock setup, I have 2.5 14-inch king coilovers. They produce roughly 14 to 15 inches of travel with my 3x5 rear IRS arms.
How did you decide to use these particular shocks?
Back in the day, roughly 5-6 years ago, I actually spoke to Brett King himself, the main owner and manufacturer of these shocks.
What about the front shocks? How are they different from the back shocks, Mark?
There's a few different characteristics of them. They both have external reservoirs, but the front is a lot smaller at 10 inches. They produce roughly 10 to 12 inches of travel, but they still keep up with the rear for a nice, comfortable ride.
You're not kidding. I mean, we were hitting rocks the size of basketballs out there, and I didn't feel a thing in the seat.
Yeah, you pay a lot of money up front for the shocks, but they're definitely worth it in the long run for a nice, smooth ride.
How much of this buggy did you build yourself?
I bought the frame from a manufacturer in Southern California, Playtech Racing. It was bare frame. It took roughly 3 to 5 years. I welded the majority of it. We did the dash, we did all the tabs, put the motor in, put the shocks in, and it was just fun when I was younger.
Wow, that's fantastic. So start to finish, how long did it take you?
It took exactly 5 years, almost on the dot.
Wow.
From the day I bought it to the day we took it out for its maiden voyage.
What a thrill.
It was definitely interesting. Gets my heart beating every time.
Mark, I noticed you're honking your horn. What are you doing that for?
Yeah, in some spots where you're going fast and only one car fits on a tight trail, you always honk to make sure that someone can hear you before they see you coming around the corner so that guys both don't collide into each other.
It's pretty narrow in here. I would imagine if you bring a vehicle too big, you wouldn't be able to get through, would you?
Yeah, it's definitely not recommended anything bigger than the size of a Jeep. You know, at some spots you might have, if you have a camper shell or a tire rack up high, it probably hit. So you only have an inch or two per side. My buggy barely fits in some spots, so I could only imagine anything bigger probably wouldn't fit.
Mark, we pulled over at one point, and you pulled out some zip ties to fix something. What was that all about?
Yeah, it's an old racer secret, man. You always got to keep a few extra zip ties in your car because if something breaks on the trail, you always want to try to fix it just to get you back to camp.
What broke at that point?
One of the clamps came off a reservoir, and the only way to fix it to get back to camp and not have it all broken is to use a few zip ties.
Wow, that's great. Do you carry duct tape too?
No, but I probably should.
They carried it on the space shuttle, didn't they?
Always carry some zip ties next to your frame.
The deeper into the Narrows we got, the walls on the sides became probably up in the neighborhood of a couple of 100 feet high. There was at least 2 or 3 times where I started to unbuckle my seatbelt because I thought we were at the end of the trail. It's time to get out and start hiking, but no, that wasn't the case. We were just stopping to get our bearings. And we'd make a turn and off to the left or to the right, and we'd start going down some more narrow pathways. I've slowed the film down here. Look over here to your right. See the rock up ahead on the right-hand side that's fallen. Right above it, you can see the rocks that are getting ready to fall down. And as we passed underneath these rocks, I could feel gravel hitting the side of my shoulder. This was a very dangerous place through here. Well, this is the proverbial light at the end of the tunnel. We're getting close to the end of the road. And I'll be honest with you, this trip through the Narrows rivals any ride I've ever been on at Disneyland. As we pulled into the park, we encountered some folks that were just finishing up what we were about to begin, our hike into the Narrows. As we rounded our first turn, we found something pretty unusual.
Yeah, we sure did.
How the heck did this get here? I guess it could have come over the cliff.
So if you take a look closely, you could tell we got a manifold here, we got an alternator, and it says EFI Ford. So who knows? Is it a Ford Ranger or Ford Bronco? Ford Ranger or something. Motor still there? Electronics?
Deep?
Yeah.
Oh, let's find out.
Don't try this at home.
This was much more dangerous than it looks. The wind was starting to blow down the cliffs, so it was really dangerous. And just as Sven was starting to climb up these really smooth rocks, a gust of wind came and blew him right off the side of the rock. This could have been very bad. I was fortunate enough to break his fall, thank goodness.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
After watching Sven get blown off the rock, I decided not to even try it. So I handed Mark up the camera so he could pan down where the trail goes. That trail goes on for another couple of miles until it opens up out into the desert. Mark said it was best just to climb back down and go on to a more accessible spot. And I was thinking that maybe I should spot them, but they assured me they could make it. I crossed my fingers. Later, the guys told me they wanted me to keep filming the whole process here, just in case one of them, got blown off the rocks and met their demise. At least they'd have it on film.
Just like in boot camp, Charles.
Yeah. This one, man, the sides are falling apart, right? So it's like,
Water flows
like
through
this
it.
one right here, you don't want to touch that.
Man, try to be professional.
Watch out, Sven, because there's like sand on the side.
Little jagged.
Yeah. No, if you press on it, I think it's gonna fall. So try to hold on to the real rocks. Yeah. You have these It look like rocks, but they're not rocks. Like sand. So you put your feet on the other side, Sven. Short. Come on, Marine. Yeah.
Push off with your feet and hold with your back.
Yeah. Just find a little comfort zone.
You're halfway there.
Yeah. Should stretch, Sven.
You gotta push off with your feet and hold your back. Got it.
Yep.
Piece of cake.
Well, if the hike ended right now, I would think, wow, that was fantastic. What a day. But you know what? We haven't even got started yet. We're about to see something you'll never forget. But first, Mark pretends to drive off and leave us at the end of the Narrows. Pretty funny guy. Fortunately, he did come back to get us. Thank goodness.
We're over here at the Narrows backside. This is called the Secret Pass here in Bullhead City. We got a nice lot of mountains, cutouts. There's a nice little cutout right here where we're going to show you in a minute. It's just super deep down in and then it shoots straight up. So we're going to walk to it and tell me what you guys think in the comments down below.
Wow, that's a pretty big nickel.
Look at some of the stuff you find out here. You got layers of bedrock, probably from the river, and then you got big old boulders just sticking out. It's pretty amazing what you find out here. Cracks going deep down into the earth. You never know when they're gonna fall, and hopefully it's not today.
Hopefully, not today.
Look up here, we're about 200, 220 feet going straight up. It's just amazing how much power this water has and what it creates over time. That'd be cool. This crack, we weren't kidding when we said they'd go deep down into the earth. It's no joke.
Still going too.
Narrow, some of these tight spots. I mean, they're 6 feet. You probably got 6 or 7 feet. The height is probably 8 feet. So take your cars in here, only quads, maybe motorcycles. What's that? A rock came out or a bat cave cut out?
Probably this rock.
Yeah, might be. So here's a little carved out section of what we're going to see up ahead. But up ahead it's going to be about 20 times larger than what's here. There you can see all the layers of bedrock over the years just getting cut out, sharp and jagged, which is beautiful. This doesn't disappoint. Look at this, I'm 6 foot tall and I'm standing in the middle of it. And it's a lot bigger and wider, as you can tell.
Right around the corner, we experience the same thing that divers experience when they swim with the sharks. We pose for pictures underneath 100 tons of rock.
All right, Bruce, take a look up here. How did that ever form just like that? And still standing.
My thanks to Mark, Charles, and Sven. I'm Bruce Stewart. Thanks for watching Weekend Getaways in America.